Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Behind the Success. In this show, we know we not only talk about the success, but we also talk about that how people are able to sustain their success through their own formulas, through their own values, through their own means. In today's episode, we have Satwik with us. Satwik has a transformational journey when it comes to fitness and specifically running, if I may say so. So, welcome Satwik to the show, and I'm really looking forward to this episode personally.
Hi. Thank you. Firstly, thank you for having me, Gaurav. I'm really excited to be on the show as well. I'm hoping I can contribute and help your listeners.
Thank you. So, before we get into serious questions, this is one of the very important question I usually ask to every guest we have on the show is the why or the essence of whatever they're doing today. So, my first question to you is that I mean, I believe I've seen you over the period of 7 years. I would say I've seen the glimpse of transformational journey over the years. So I would like to know that when you started running, I mean, what was the thought which inspired you to do so, or were there collection of lot of thoughts which actually helped you? I mean, to get going.
So, just to be more specific and to just map out my journey a bit, it was not a specific thought or specific action or collection that got me into running specifically. I started with the whole sole intention of losing weight. I was really heavy, about 107 kgs at my peak. And that's when I had a moment, a low moment, which really inspired me to take up fitness. So in the start, I experimented with a lot of I diversified myself into finding something fun and finding something I enjoy. So it was not running in the start. I started with going to the gym, wherein I used to go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week and lift weights and just run once a week. And as a part of that, I've switched to multiple things. Like I've tried my hand at swimming, cycling, and in one of these instances, in one of these gaps, I started running more regularly. And after all these, it took me about almost a year to find something which I truly love and I truly wanted to continue, not just as a means to an end, not just to lose weight and to be fit, but something which I truly enjoy. So if my why about running is the simply I could say I run because I am. I love to run. I am grateful to be able to run every day. It's no more of fitness routine for me. It is no more. It has all its benefits, which I love and which I vouch by and I stand by. But that's not my why. My why is it gives me that unobstructed space for myself. It's my own me time. It gives me space to clear my head, to think about, go through my thoughts, and it's just a very personal time for me now. And it's come down to simply saying it's my meditation in motion. So my why, though it started from health and fitness, it's eventually moved to something which I really and absolutely love. And it's moved to something which is very sacred and very special to me. So that's one territory which I don't like to get. Like, I don't want to mix politics. I don't want to mix a lot of other societal influences. It is me thing. It's my time, and I want it to be always that way. So that is my way of running, is because I am and because I love it. And that's the reason that keeps me going. Is that's the reason I can wake up every day, and I've been doing it continuously for like almost 4 years. I wake up 6 days a week and go for my run, and there's never been a run where I have been feeling like I feel some days I don't feel well before I start. I'm not in the mood. I'm still cranky. I'm still not feeling the well. But I've always ended a run happier, more confident, more with a more positive outlook than I started. So that's what keeps me going.
That's very interesting to know. Again, here specifically, if I say, and while listening to you, this crossed to my mind that I personally also thought a lot of times to go for a run. And again, I believe that at times there are lot of our habits or a lot of our hobbies, if I say so, has a reflection back to our childhood memories. So I would like to know that is that something that, let's say, running something that you always loved, or this something that you explored later in the age and then you started loving it now?
I was always into sports. Like when I was a kid, I used to play tennis competitively. I actually represented India till the night until under 12, under 16. I used to play nationals, and then I dropped the sport completely, and then switched my focus to studies after I hit my 10th boards, which is usually the case, and
Yeah.
I completely left everything after my 10th boards. So I was always into I was always into an activity. I had an active childhood, which I do. Of course, I have had a lot of good, strong fundamentals because of it. But it was
Hmm.
not. I found running very much later. Like in my childhood, I remembered when I used to train for tennis. We used to have cross country runs, which were about 3.5 kilometers, and I used to hate them. I used to literally hate them. We used to had to run for warm ups and cool downs circles around the tennis court, and I used to absolutely hate them. So this is actually something which I have felt that I've found and I've loved and I've connected with much later part in my life because it now suits my mentality, it suits my approach, it suits my attitude. So it's and again looking back, I've been committed to tennis for almost 6-7 years when I was a kid. So I've played for 6-7 years. It's been 5-6 years of running also. So I have a fluid approach when it comes to my fitness or my way of expressing myself because I don't know whether tomorrow I'll love it as much or whether tomorrow I might just love some other sport, maybe swimming, maybe cycling, maybe obstacle racing. It could be something else also. But my goal is always to be able to have that feeling of expressing myself, to be absolutely not in love with the sport, not to do it out of force or compulsion or just because somebody's told me to. So with running, currently it's running and it's been, I hope it stays, but of course always open to new things. The day I do not enjoy it as much, I might not continue with the same intensity that I do because a lot of my progress, a lot of my consistency, commitment comes from the way I feel and the amount of love I have for the sport and the way it makes me feel. So over the few years, if that changes, I would love to adapt to it because I have done it once. I have actually completely given up on tennis after all these years, after having committed so many years to it. There are so many people who's like, why don't you just take up tennis? Because it doesn't make me feel the same way. It doesn't give me that expression. It's not what I get from running. So maybe in the few next 10 years down the line, if I do not connect with running in the same way, I might just pick up another sport or pick up another activity which I'm able to express myself.
This is very interesting to know. Since you touched about that, let's say you wake up 6 days a week and you eventually go for a run. Again, a lot of times when we talk about habit building, this is called about discipline. This is called about consistency. What I would really like to know that, um, were there any times where, let's say, you felt that, let's say, today is not my day, or today is actually a day where I would not like to go for running? So I'm not saying that what's the case now, but I would like to go back in the years when you initially started again, and I would like to know that how you tackle to those thoughts, or how you ensured that you kept going when, I mean, when there were thoughts like, I mean, thoughts of giving up.
Absolutely, that still happens with me. It's not I still wake up 6 days a week. I still go for my runs, but it doesn't change. That feeling of staying in bed, it always stays in not going out because it's actually stepping out of your comfort zone. It's doing one of the hardest things of my day, the first thing. So it's always difficult in the summer months, especially in Ahmedabad summers. It's really brutal to go out. So that that makes me want to stay at home. And in the winters, it's basically just staying in my bed. It's really comfortable not to leave the bed in the morning because it's cold, it's cozy. So of course I face the same problems that everyone does. But over the years, it's been easier to get out of it and to commit to it. But what's really helped me is I have a rule wherein every night, like the night before I sleep, I know my plan. It's not that I'm going to decide my running plan in the morning or I have a schedule. So I know I have everything, my distance, my time, and my intensity planned. One, I lay out my clothes, my whatever I need for the next morning, so that in the morning I don't procrastinate, I don't waste my time. So my clothes, my shoes, my gear all laid out. And third, I have a really important rule. Even if I do not feel like running, even if I do not, I feel pathetic, except for sickness. Like if I'm unwell, then of course I take it off. But if apart from that, if it's just lazy, I just decide that I will get up, I will gear up, and I usually start my runs either from my house or a specific point from my specific route. So my my commitment is not to the run. My commitment is to starting the run. So that is 100%. I have to 100% start a run. If I start a run after of that, even after being 15, 20 minutes, I don't feel good, then maybe I just cut short the run, or maybe I come back and take the day off because I'm just not, maybe I'm not recovered, or I'm not there mentally. But I have 100% uh, rate for commencing the run. That is my rule. You have to get up, fit up, show up, and start. If you do not feel like continuing, if you're not well, if you're not your day, and if you're not in the right space, sometimes it happens. I can count the number of, maybe I can count the number of times I've actually gone out for the run, and out of 1,000 runs that I would have done, and I wouldn't feel like going, I would have ended up not doing only one run. That 999 runs was just my procrastination, just my laziness of not doing it. So the best and the easiest way to overcome it was just to start, to go up, to show up, to get up, because that also takes a lot of efforts. I have to wake up, I have to freshen up, I have to wear my kit, I have to eat accordingly, then go up. And by the time I'm there, I've already spent so much time, I might as well just, I feel like I finish it. And another fact that really helps me is that in all these years, there has never been one single run where I felt worse after I finished the run than I felt after before I started. So the feeling always is much better because you get a feeling of accomplishment, the adrenaline rush, you just feel so good that your day started on such a good note that I always remembered over the years. That feeling is always ingrained in my head, that I know for a fact that despite how bad I feel, when I end it may be 15 minutes later, 1 hour later, or 2 hours later, I'm going to feel so much more better than I started. So that just keeps me going.
Great. So here, let me take a personal example, and why I'm saying so, because I I see I have been a big fan of building positive habits, but there are certain challenges which I face usually, is that the consistency, or you can say the discipline required around it. So now, specifically talking about fitness, I personally have never been into sports ever, and I mean, I've been into chess, but then I would not consider that as an outdoor sports. So now, coming to that, what I would say is that what I would like to know, I mean, I believe that a lot of listeners are going to relate to what I'm going to ask, that there is a combination of inspiration and the discipline. What I'm trying to ask is that how, let's say, how a person like me can actually um, make an inspirational decision in terms of building a habit, but also what could be the easier ways in order to build a habit in a way that you're not just starting, but you're also continuing it at least for a good amount of time.
So I think the inspiration only forms the first half of the habit. It just gets you to start the habit, but it's never going to get you to continue the habit. You're not inspired, motivated to do the habit every day. Then you have to set form routines then. It's very clear. And one of the easiest way of forming a routine is setting up priorities in life. Is that a priority for you? If yes, you're going to make time for it. For me, my health is my priority before everything else. My personal health and my well-being comes before everything for me.
Right.
So everything, if it's my priority, if it's my number one goal to be healthy, to feel healthy, I am always going to make time for it. So it's a combination of two things. First, the motivation first will get you to initially act in the favor of it, but to continue it, you need discipline, and for discipline also, and for that, and the overall encompassing it is your priority. If it's not a priority, you will always find reasons not to do it. So to motivate yourself, understand where it lies in your priority. If it is a priority, whether it is a priority, and if not, understand where it lies for you. And then it's all about small, easy habits, and then for waiting for it to compound. Because it's not that I started, it's not that it's just like I was born that I could run so much, so easily, so comfortably. So I started, it's always a struggle for everyone. You're always a work in progress. So What you have to do is then have realistic goals, have short-term, have small, like again said, small habits, realistic goals. So what I always do in terms of discipline is, like I told you, I make sure that I always plan my workouts, so I know that I have something. So suppose like I have a run next morning, so I know that I wouldn't be able to go because I know my health is my priority and I want to run. So I usually don't go out late in the nights. I know that because it's going to affect my next day run. And then
Yeah.
I plan everything accordingly. So once you have everything planned and laid out, it's much easier to follow it. But if you're just going to go about haphazardly, that okay, I don't have a plan, I don't have anything, it just makes it really difficult. Another thing that really helps, even at this level, is having someone to mentor you and coach you. Like I have a coach. I actually coach athletes myself, but I have a coach who helps me, so that I have someone who I am accountable to, who helps me structure and guide everything. So that becomes really helpful also, I feel, because it's difficult to keep yourself accountable in every aspect, because we have unlimited choices and unlimited freedom to do to just use and allocate our time. So we have to be accountable, and it's easier to be accountable to someone than I feel to be accountable to yourself. So that also I feel is really important, is having an accountability partner, or a person you're accountable to, and then having a routine, because that's easy. That's way it's easier to plan. I know for a fact that I'm going to be running 6 days a week. I'm going to be running these many kilometers. So if I want to schedule an outing, I know that I can do it before my easy days, or I can do it before my rest day. Usually, what I do is, like, I know for a fact that every Saturday, no matter what, my longest run of the week is on every Saturday. So everybody in my family and including my friends know that Satwik is not going to come out on a Friday night, because Satwik is going to sleep in early and he's going to wake up and run. But everyone knows the fact also that Satwik will come out on a Saturday night, because Satwik has Sunday off. So he will be able to move. So if everyone is clear about your priorities and your plan, it's easier for everyone to accommodate it and plan around it.
Right.
Similarly with my food habits, I am a little particular with what I eat. I do not like I don't want to eat a lot. So everyone in my family, because over the period of years, because I've made myself very clear and I'm very consistent with it, that okay, I am not going to, in the week, when on the days when I'm running, I'm going to follow a relatively whole food healthy diet, so that I feel better the next day. So I don't would not eat out. So they would not, even if they would invite me to come out, they would make sure that there's something available for me, or I would eat and then go out, and they wouldn't mind it. And they know for a fact that if I'm going out on a Saturday, I'm not running the next day. So once you have, it's like discipline for me, discipline is, it actually is a form of freedom now for everyone and me, because they know my discipline, they know my routine. It becomes very, very easy for me to plan everything around it. But if I'm very dicey, that okay, if I'm not very consistent, or when I'm doing my long runs, or when I'm waking up and running, on what days I run long, then neither will anyone be able to plan around me or plan with me. It'll just be every week and it'll just go all over the place. So just having a discipline has given me so much more freedom, which otherwise wouldn't have given me.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, I would like to go back a little, and because since you talked about that you believe in, you have the commitment to start a run and not about uh, running the other way. I would like to know that since you ran so many marathons now, uh, what has been your first experience when it comes to marathon? What were the emotions? What were the expressions you're having by looking people around you?
So I think the most emotional run for me was my first half marathon, which I ran in 2016 end, or 26, somewhere around 2016, which was, I think it was euphoric. I couldn't believe it, because I just had started training a month before it. That's when I actually seriously took up running.
Hmm.
And it was just out of the whim. It was in January when I saw an ad, uh, like a Facebook post about a half marathon. It was happening in Thane, and I just thought myself, let's just register for it and see how it goes. And I did register for it. I made so many blunders because I was very new to it, but I finished, and I remember feeling the most, like, I've never felt better in my life. It was so euphoric. It was like overcoming everything, overcoming the people who've fat shamed me all my life, overcoming all the all the doubts, all the fears in my head. It was so liberating. It just made me realize that I am capable and it is possible. So I think that run and that feeling, I can never forget crossing that finishing line. I've run a half marathon so many more times, so much better, so much faster, but nothing beats the feeling of finishing it.
Thank you for sharing that. So since this has been the emotional one, I would also like to know the challenging one now, because I believe that there could have been a lot of runs where you had to push your body, you have to prepare differently, you have to change a lot of your routines, habits, diets accordingly. So what has been the most challenging run for you?
I think the most challenging one for me, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it was the 2016 Comrades Marathon, which was a 90-kilometer uphill race in South Africa. It was really challenging because I was underprepared. To be very honest, because I had just run my first marathon at the start of 2017. People usually take 1.5 years just to train for the ultra marathon, and I decided to run it in 4 months. And
Right.
from from running my first 42 kilometers to running 19 4 months was very difficult because I had to run multiple runs more than 42 kilometers. I had to run a 60, 65, 70 kilometers, and it really took a toll on my body. Like it was it was difficult. I was struggling through injuries. I was very new to the sport that time, but I was just very ambitious. And looking back, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but I remember the amount of pain I was at the 60, 65 kilometer mark in the 90-kilometer race. I nearly quit. I had to go down and go to the physio center, get a massage, had to put ice. I walked a lot in the race, but I finished. But finishing it was also very emotional for me. But in retrospect, I have had harder races. I've run harder, but I've also trained harder for them. So I was able to push my body, push beyond, and I was well prepared for it. For
Hmm.
the 90-kilometer race, I wasn't, it was undertrained. So the difficulty just compounded. Running 90 kilometers is not easy, of course, but running 90 kilometers underprepared is very difficult. Like it's just chaos. But it was fun.
All right. So while you talked about routine, and you also little emphasized on the diet, I would like to know that how important the role of diet is when it comes to long runs or even small runs for a while.
So I'm just going to extrapolate in terms of health because health and fitness are very correlated. In terms of health, it's 70% your diet and 30% of what you work out. Your diet is the most important part of your transformation of your health because your diet does not only control your it's just the most important part because it controls how you feel, how you look, how your body processes. Because your diet, your food is your way of supplying energy to your body. It affects everything. It affects how you feel, how you think, how you move, because everyone's experienced it. Everyone, you have a large pizza and a large Coke for lunch, and then you are sleepy, groggy. You have a salad and if a smoothie, you feel fresh. It's not only the
Yeah.
food. Forget the calorie part. There's calorie parts of the food, but food has it controls a lot of how you feel, how you move, how you think. So that's really important because, and that's the most neglected part because people think they can outtrain a bad diet or outrun anything, but it's not true. I have had that thought so because I used to run so much, I used to eat all types of crap, but and I could get away. You could get away with sometimes, but you can't get away with over a long period of time. It does catch up to you, and it does come back biting to you. So for me, when I realized the importance of food and diet as a part of fitness and health,
Mhm.
that was one of the big game changers that I had.
Great. So again, my next question to you is more about criticism, because I believe when usually one is doing something which is quite different from the rest of the world, considering, I would say, in Indian society, I believe fitness is not usually considered as the most priority when it comes to, let's say, career, finances, and other things. What I would like to know is that how do you handle external and self criticism in general?
To be very, very honest, Gaurav, I think runners are the most beautiful people I've met, and there is very little criticism, very little or absolutely no criticism that I've faced in my entire journey. I've always been met with love, support, and everything and more. I think the biggest critique or the biggest negative criticism I've got from anyone in their whole life is myself, where I
Hmm.
am not, I always think that I'm not capable enough. I always think I won't be able to do it. But on the other hand, every runner, there have been so many runners who supported me in so many different, so many beautiful ways that I can't even thank them. From my first coach who helped me, from the first person who took me out for a run, to people who inspired everyone, even at this step, even after
Hmm.
growing so much, there's always been love and support from everyone. And that's the most beautiful part about the sport, I think. There is, because I don't compete with anyone, I just compete with myself. So for the critique also comes from me. And the best part, the support comes from everyone. So that's one thing which I'm not like external criticism. Maybe people would have criticized me behind my back, but that I wouldn't be sure of. But this sport is very individualistic. It's people come from different ages, groups, backgrounds, and especially if you're
Right.
not a pro runner, I'm not a professional runner, so I'm technically not competing against anyone. I'm not running for money or prize. So the community in itself is just because everyone wants to it's just a very communal sport. It is then it's community but individualistic. So people, the community is beautiful, but you do not compete with the community. So that whole spirit was, I think, was one of the things that has kept me to running, and it's amazing. And like I actually, when a couple of years back, also I used to always tell my friends, like, I have never seen cities come together or Bombay come together so beautifully. But if you really want to see Bombay, just go to Nariman Point on a Sunday morning, and you'll find so many runners and cyclists, and it was just so beautiful. That community in itself is so supportive and so loving. Like, there are so many runners I meet on the road, and I just look at them, and everyone is smiling. They give you a thumbs up, they give you a good morning. You know them, you do not know them. It's beautiful. Whereas if you go for any other sport, like if you go to a gym, nobody's going to greet each other. Everybody's just jealous of each other. Nobody wants to support each other. But this sport and this community is so beautiful, and it transcends everywhere. Like, I've gone to South Africa, and you just go out in the road and run, and people greet you. Just there's some sort of positivity and community associated with the sport, which I've always loved. So I have never, honestly, never faced any criticism from externally. Internally, yes, well, that's doubts and fears, but that's always going to be a part.
This I guess you share a very interesting perspective, because now I feel that whenever I'm out there and running, even myself or any marathon, this is going to be in my mind, that uh, how I'm going to greet people, how people are going to greet me. So I guess definitely this is a very beautiful experience, that uh, you can say, like, this more about collaboration than competition, and people usually want to see you succeed then rather than dragging you down. So thank you for sharing that. I have one last question, and this is something I would see that maybe this could be a learning, or could be a head start for a lot of people listening to this podcast, and maybe I mean, not maybe, but for surely including me as well. So my question is more about, since, let's say, I would have been thinking, and definitely I'm more aligned to work on fitness. The reason why I'm saying this is because I feel once you are able to challenge your body, eventually the kind of willpower you generate for yourself, it's so different. The kind of obstacles you can overcome are going to be super easy, mentally and emotionally, I'm saying. So my question to you is that, what is your advice, or what is your suggestion to someone like me who is willing to start working on fitness? So how would you suggest that, how one like me can actually start working around it?
So the first thing I would say is, see, there's a lot. There are hundreds and millions of ways to get fit. There is yoga, there is calisthenics, there is picking up a sport, playing cricket, playing football, running, cycling. First, try out these few things. If you know your tendencies are like, out of 100 sports, you'll be only inclined to do a few of them. Like for me, example, I would have never tried basketball. I would have never tried squash or maybe table tennis because I was never inclined. I knew I was not inclined to them. So maybe if you just go through your head, through your childhood, the things you've played, you've done, there'll be 5 to 7 sports that you're really inclined to try, which are fun. Try them because there's nothing. If you want fitness to be a lifelong part of it, you lifelong part of you're gonna have to choose something that you enjoy, something that you love. If you have an activity or if your hobby makes
Yeah.
you fit, there is nothing like it. For me, that is running. So first, in the simplest form, easiest way to commit and easiest way to actually forget the motivation, forget the discipline, easiest way to find is do find if it's your hobby and if it makes you fit, first find that. Then start easy. Do not really expect all the results. Do not compare your day one with somebody's day 1000.
Yeah.
Somebody who starts running, like I've had people come up to me and ask me, like they want your results, but they do not want your journey. So do not like they come up to me and say, how can I run as fast as you in the next 1 year? I was like, it's taken me 7 years to do, 6 years or 5 years to do it. So I cannot help you to do it in 1 year. Maybe somebody who's done it in 1 year can help you, but people want your results without wanting your journey. And
Right.
people want to compare their results with your results. Like, how can you run so fast? How have you been able? It's because this is my day 1000. And how are you able to be so consistent, so disciplined? Because it was not, you have to compare your day one with my day one, not your day one with my day 1000. So just be little kind to yourself in the start. It will be difficult. You're not gonna have iron will in the start. So start slowly, build consistency consistently, and focus on the basics and the fundamentals more in the start. And then once you have a solid base and foundation, and if you love the activity, you're just going to grow exponentially, I feel.
Thank you. Thank you for being part of the first segment. So let's go to the second segment called Spotlight, where we share one recommendations to our listeners and viewers. And my today's recommendation is uh, kind of a series called Explained on Netflix. And the reason why I love it because it's like 15 to 17 minutes, 20 minutes long, small episodes where they talk about what is music. Uh, I mean, they talk about racism and other areas of important aspects of life. So, idea is that how you can actually understand these concepts, like even cryptocurrencies and things like that, but along with your dinner or lunch. This is something I usually do because I've been curious, and I feel the people who are actually curious to know the fundamentals behind all this and how actually these are shaping the world currently. So maybe you can go and check out the series called Explained. Satwik, what's your recommendation?
So I think since you've asked me so much about running and so much, I'm just going to give two recommendations. One is about running and one is non-running. The running book that I would ask every runner or a non-runner, anyone who's ever been interested in running,
Mhm,
to
mhm,
read is, it's called Born to Run. It's by Christopher McDougall, and it just covers the story of a tribe of called Tarahumara in the Mexico, and it's just a beautiful journey of how humans. It just explains how humans have been evolved to run, and literally how we were born to run and how running has evolved. And it's just such a beautiful narrative which just goes back and forth between this tribe and their way of running and the modern way of running, and how humans evolutionarily have been evolved to run from being persistent hunters to how we've progressed. So it's a beautiful running
mm,
book. Another book is more like a book on like my collection of short philosophy habits about just gives you a mental model on life. One of the people I really like is Naval Ravikant. So his a lot of his podcasts, his writings and articles and blogs have been converted into one small book called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which is my one of my favorite things to read and reread. So it covers all the aspects from wealth building to philosophy to health to spirituality. Very short, actionable points, which is something which I really relate to and really love. I think so. Those two would to be my two recommendations.
Thank you. And personally, I'm also going to check out both the books, and I'll share my insights with you once I read it. So thank you, Satwik, for being with us, and I hope a lot of our listeners and viewers will have lot of insights to take out of this episode. And personally, I believe a lot of people will start fitness. I would not say running, but then fitness as their part of their daily routine, and maybe they will aspire to be much more fitter. And I hope they can achieve much more with that happening in their life. So thank you once again for being part of the show, and we're looking forward. We're looking forward to see a lot of your more success in coming times.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for letting me be a part of this show.
Thank you.